Welcome back to Euronews Tonight. We're turning to Iraq now, where police have fired live rounds at crowds of protesters who defied a government curfew. These restrictions followed 2 days of violent protests in several Iraqi cities. At least 21 people have now been killed. Troops out in force in the capital Baghdad in an attempt to stop the unrest. Demonstrators accuse the government of corruption and are also angry about high unemployment and poor services. Well, for more on the situation in Iraq, I'm joined now by Bilal Wahab from the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Ms. Wahab, very good to have you with us. The economic situation in Iraq seems to have sparked these protests. Can you give us a sense of what that reality is like for people there?
Hello, Alex. Good to be with you. I'm actually joining you from Washington, D.C. The protesters are mainly, as you mentioned, over jobs and corruption. And the third stool has been, so far as of Iraqi concerns go, safety and insecurity. But with the defeat of ISIS, those two other problems remain the priority of these protesters. The new Iraqi government has had a year to tackle unemployment and corruption. But obviously, the people have spoken with their feet by filling the largest squares, not only in Baghdad but in many other cities and towns in center and southern Iraq, that they're not happy with the level of progress made in creating jobs for them as well as fighting corruption.
Well, it seems to be increasingly desperate attempts then from the Iraqi government to bring these protests under control, to quell this unrest. I mean, will they continue with this current approach? And if so, what will the consequences be?
Well, these protests are sporadic, spontaneous, they are leaderless. They're in fact continuation of large protests that took place last July in 2018 in Basra, which is the oil heartland of this country, where 80% of Iraq's oil exports come from the city, where the citizens of that city could not find potable water or electricity in the scorching heat. So in a way, this is the continuation of that, because they elected a new government, a new leadership, and yet it seems that the system of Iraq's government, the new system of 2003 post-Saddam Hussein system is failing. It's been a system of sectarian divide of power and authority, and doling out patronage and revenues, while focusing on sectarian identity. And while that has worked for a while because it provided jobs in the public sector for followers and cronies and supporters, mainly on identity and political basis, but there are only so many jobs and so many seats in these government offices, and the government has so far failed to open up the private sector where the majority of jobs will be created in a normal economy on one hand. Let's not forget that this is an oil-dependent country, so all of the trappings of an oil state are at play here. But on the other hand, the public is also angry at the mismatch of their living standards on the street and the living standards of the elite. There is an Iraqi joke that says, every billionaire starts from zero. Iraqi billionaire starts in 2003.
Wow, a strong message there. Bilal Wahab joining us from Washington, giving us the latest from the situation in Iraq. Thank you for your time there. Thank you.